USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design, where we celebrate women who are shaping their lives one extraordinary day at a time. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudet, self-care coach for women who are ready to make self-care a priority to support them in life and business. Every week, I'll be speaking with inspiring women from various walks of life who will share their personal journeys and will discover how they have fearlessly carved their own paths as business owners, passionately pursuing their dreams and creating a meaningful impact on their communities. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design podcast. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudet, and today we're talking with Kathleen McDermott. Kathleen helps women break free from old conditioning and instead age well with less stress and more life, because aging isn't just about health, it's about fully living in all areas of life. She's certified in stress and lifestyle management, an adaptive yoga and restorative yoga teacher, and guides women on the path to mind-body connection and healing, helping them release the generational and societal patterns that keep them stuck in stress, overwhelm, and self-doubt. Her own struggles and trauma led her to ask two powerful questions, ones that cracked open the door to a life filled with clarity, courage, and more energy, adventure, and freedom. Through this journey, she discovered that aging well isn't about holding on to the past. It's about stepping into who you truly are, feeling alive in your body, and creating a life that makes you thrive. Kathleen, I am excited to have you on the show today, so welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate you having me, and I'm very excited to be here.
Well, me too. Well, your work around helping women age with more life and less stress is so beautiful and truly what I love when I am connected with women who want to help other women live a quality lifestyle. So I would love it if you could take us back to the beginning of your journey and what personal experiences or turning points led you to this work.
Life. Yes, life has a way of, doesn't she? She just has a way of throwing us enough curves and challenges and trials and tribulations to get us and give us the opportunity to choose differently, to really explore. And for me, Your Life, Your Way, which is the name of my work, is so important and was actually building before I had my own awakening. I can remember even as a child, fighting against certain things that I didn't understand then, where I just didn't feel my place or feel myself. But now I can look back and see that. So as my life progressed and I began to really understand the Your Life, Your Way, I still didn't understand the depth. And the change for me was the biggest change for me, honestly, was going through my divorce. That is what really through the whole process, I felt lost and broken and so scared. We have this vision of how our life is supposed to look. And once that picture is dissolved, it's scary. And, where do we go from here? Where did I go from there? And feeling that all the blame, the shame, all of it, it's all part of the process that we normally think is what's going to help us one way or another, and you stay in that anger. And I didn't want to. Leslie, I have two incredible, beautiful twin boys. And it was either stay in the darkness, feeling lost, broken, and scared, or not, to come through the light and heal and grow and expand. What made me realize, as you said, were the two questions. And when I realized I wanted more for my life, I asked two questions. Number one, what role had I been playing in my life? What was my role in my life? And most importantly, why? Very simple one-word question, but it is so huge. And it wasn't why and looking for blame. It wasn't looking to blame anyone. It was really trying to understand. I was taking a step back and really honestly looking, and then things started to make sense because it gave me the ability to honestly look at my behavior through life, my habits through my life, my reactions to life, my perceptions, beliefs, everything. And I began to see some history. And you mentioned generational conditional wounds, the unhealed wounds, the inheritance, I call it, that you never asked for. It gets passed on through from generation to generation to generation. Unhealed wounds and conditioning for how life is perceived to be lived, how it should be lived. And then you pile on society's rules on top of that, on how we are supposed to be, do, and live, and how we're supposed to measure up. All of this began to show, I began to see all of this, and it began to show me that there's quite a pattern here. And the beautiful part of it, it was not blame. I was actually able to look at my mom and dad and say, wow, I'm really now understand your pain. And I understand your parents' pain and how far that journey back just may have gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave me the opportunity to say, okay, am I going to be where it stops? Because I have two beautiful sons, probably going to have grandkids someday, which I now do. I have a grandson. It has to stop. And I had a choice to be the one or to let it continue. And that's my story in a nutshell without going through deeply personal. But it also gave me the ability to see the steps through my life as that little girl. And the times that my dad would say, why do you have to do things the hard way? Why can't you just listen? Because we're all walking our own path, aren't we, Leslie?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. I agree.
We're walking our own journey. This is our own life. And it comes back to your life, your way, living life on your terms. Less stress, more life. Break the cycle of old, all these things we have in our head. But ultimately, if I had to tie it up in one sentence, it would be feel safe being you, who you truly are, guilt-free. And we don't. I didn't. Do you? So many women that throughout my life, we don't. The pressures that we are under to be someone that we're not, to feel the pressures to, well, I call them the 4 bad seeds. Worrying what other people think, people pleasing, chasing perfection, and taking things personally. These are just 4 examples that can kind of give you that pause to stop and say, okay, what is my experience? Am I participating? Am I in one or more or all of these? And I think we've all experienced a good share of these at some point, somewhere in our life. Are
Yeah.
exhausting.
Yeah,
And the
absolutely.
stress. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love that you gave us a little bit peek behind. I'm with you. I feel like the journey of getting to know who we are is so important, but taking it from a place of not shifting blame to like, oh, I'm like this because my parents were this way, but instead like looking at, okay, now I have a deeper understanding of where they're coming from. That's really truly been my experience as well. So I love that. And again, breaking the cycle, because you can either continue the cycle, which then teaches your 2 sons that this is the way things are, and then they carry it on and they pass that on generationally to their kids, and then going on and on and on. Or you can make that decision, that conscious decision to say, okay, this is how my life had been. This is how I grew up. These are my belief systems that I bought into. This is what was passed down to me, even if I didn't ask for it necessarily. And being able to look at it from a different lens and say, okay, this was that. This was what I kind of bought into for a long time. And now I actually realize that, no, I want more for my life. And having that one moment in your life going through your divorce to actually say, okay, enough is enough for me to continue this journey that I've been on. I want to change it. And we actually have, I always call it rewriting your story, because I feel like every day we have the opportunity to rewrite how we show up every day. It doesn't have to be what everyone else says it should be. Like, pleasing other people because it's what they are expecting of you or what society expects of us. Because, like you were saying, you're on your own path and that is okay. And it doesn't have to look the same as anyone else. And people might not understand, but it's really truly about living that quality of life, like you were saying, your life, your way. Which leads me to my question about generational and societal, expectations, because you do teach women about how conditioning, those two types of conditioning, can keep us stuck in cycles of stress, overwhelm, self-doubt, all of those things, the fear of making, stepping outside of the traditional norm. So how do you support women in breaking free from that and finding their way back to themselves? Because I know we all do have that way we start out in life. Like you were saying as a little girl, your father was saying to you, like, why can't you just listen? And you're just saying, well, we're walking our own path. So being able to tap into those hopes and dreams, going back, I think really it does start there. Going back and looking at how we used to dream and what we actually desired. How do we find our way back there?
It's exactly that. First of all, I'm not going to lie and say that this is an easy journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an easy journey. It's very, very hard. But staying where I was hard. So I chose my hard. And we all have that opportunity to choose our hard. And there is so much within that we can, and it all led to forgiveness, primarily of self, because then I learned there wasn't really needed forgiveness for others because we're all, struggling with the same influences, just different histories. So it can be overwhelming to do this journey, but it's steps. You can take 5 steps forward and, 10 steps back, but it's a flow. It's an ebb and flow, and it's a journey. And I can say, yes, if you want to jump in and swim and go in the deep end and start and just really barrel forward, we do that. But I'm really of the mind that I'm a woman. I know those to-do lists. I know the conditioning in our mind is subconscious that we have all of this life that we have to do. We have to get this done. And we're doing it at 200 miles an hour. And there's not a lot of grace given to the self. And which comes back to the 4 bad seeds. So I like to start small. One step, just start one step. And part of the reason why it's hard, I believe, in my history, my personal experience in dealing and working with my clients, is that we've lost the sense of self because it's buried under the layers of how we think we should be. It's also buried under the conditioning and the thoughts of not worthy, not good enough. No matter what we do is not good enough. We're not good enough. Lies, all lies. We know that. As you hinted to our creativity, go back to that little girl. How creative was she, and the dreams and just the difference in fun and behavior and life, enjoying life as a child. We lose that. We bury it under not just the self-worth, but just the busyness and overwhelm of life. So if we can come back to that mind body, not just mind, you hear that saying, change your thoughts, change your life. Yes, working with the subconscious is so important, but we can't forget the body. Everything that I had been through in my life, because my divorce wasn't the only trauma in my life. I have a list of things I've experienced, and each one of those had an effect on my body, physically, nervous system. So between my body and my subconscious, the whole gang developed ways to try to protect me. So I learned to protect myself, not in the healthiest of ways. And I think we can all experience, if we look and see the things that we go to, what state we go to with our nervous system, it really can enlighten us to how we have learned to really try to protect ourselves. And what we used and learned as a child or a teenager doesn't work as an adult. It usually does not work for us an adult. So I like to come back to that mind-body connection to really understand, yes, the thoughts, but the body also has beautiful, beautiful given unprocessed emotions. Our emotions are not bad. They're not wrong. They're not, we're not too, how often have you heard, you're too emotional? No, we're not. We just don't understand them. Our parents weren't taught to process, so we weren't taught to process. And again, it's give yourself grace and forgiveness and learn about those emotions and to honor and really honor them, enjoy them. So it's working with the mind and the body. And doing so, starting small, just getting back to your five senses, taking a moment to just appreciate the sight, the sound, the touch. Touch is my favorite. If I feel like that edge is coming, there's something that's really going to risk triggering me. And because I've been practicing for so long, I know my triggers very well. I'm not going to lie. I know what they are. But that doesn't mean that I don't give in to them on occasion. But my favorite point to try to help keep me calm are crystals. It's touch. And I always have a crystal nearby, whether I'm driving, whether I'm at home or in a meeting somewhere. I always have wearing or in my pocket something, a crystal, because as soon as I'm touching, now my awareness can come back to the texture. Is it cool? Is it warm? Are there rough edges, soft spots? How does it feel? And it immediately, my brain is now here instead of processing this habitual fear that it goes to and self-protection that's not healthy. And I can bring myself back and gives me the control that I used to seek out there, trying to control everything out there because I couldn't control what was in my own self. So it's about coming back to that mind-body connection. And one of my favorite things to use besides the five senses and creativity is I actually do work with my clients with some adaptive yoga poses and some restorative. But the adaptive is so cool. It's so life on and off the mat. It's example. I'm sure you have no control issues. Neither do I. And if you are let's say, familiar with that traditional tree pose that you see in every picture and video, that perfect pose, it might not necessarily be yours. Remember, we talked about your life, your way, your journey? Well, choosing your path to heal is going to be yours too. It's not going to be how I think it should be or how you think it should be. It's the client. What is their journey? So if you're creating a tree pose, I tell my clients, I don't care if it looks like the mighty oak, if it looks like the hedge in your front yard. Finding your pose to balance is that beginning of, okay, this is mine. What do I feel it to be today in this moment? And the best part of it is, if I watch, the first thing they're going to want to do when they wobble is to grab it and control it. But that's not life. But that's what we do. We try to control, which causes more stress, which increases the aging, accelerates the aging process. So it affects every life area, stress does. But if we work with that pose and allow yourself to feel that wobble and flow with it, let your arms move a little bit with it, let your body flow with it. And it gives you a perspective of, okay, I do have the ability to be safe in my strength and my groundedness, my centeredness, and yet I can ebb and flow and move through whatever is facing me, choosing myself how to respond, react, or do nothing. And it's that life on and off the mat, that ebb and flow. So it's really getting to know your body, the sensations that come up. We don't pay attention to those until we've reached the point of illness or disease. We kind of put them aside. We think, oh, poo, I'm okay, But we begin to, you have the ability to begin to recognize those sensations, those little points of when your body's saying, I'm starting to stress, your nervous system is starting to feel dysregulated. It's starting to feel fight or flight, your state.
Yeah.
So it's really important to come back, I believe, in my experience and working with clients, that once you can balance that mind-body connection to understand what's been put up here, what's been programmed up here, and that sounds like a harsh word, but it's a form of programming. Life is a form of programming. And once you can understand that and begin to realize how the body responds too, because your body was there for everything. Perfect example, hypnotherapy. I love hypnotherapy. I have friends and I have had the experience of hypnotherapy, and I've had great success, especially one point in particular in my life that was just really eating at me. The hypnotherapy helped tremendously my mental attachment to that. But my body still knows how to react when a similar threat comes up. So, and I'm pleased and just could not be more grateful to have the pressure of what was in my head and how I was perceiving this situation. But I also have to heal and understand my body still has that fear and ability to respond to try to protect me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I also think too, it's about giving yourself permission to not judge yourself about
Mhm.
your emotional reactions or how your body is reacting, what you're thinking. I think we get into that loop of, oh, like there I go again. I'm just what everyone's telling me. I'm being emotional again. And it's like emotions are okay. It's just not getting stuck in the same
Yeah.
patterns and keeping yourself there. So I love how you were talking about, again, that mind body connection is so true, and especially even if you are maybe you are ignoring what you're thinking, but then your body starts to actually, the stress starts to move down into your shoulders or into your back, or, you can't move the way you normally would be when you're feeling completely at ease. You start to feel more tight. And so again, your body has a way of responding to things, even if you are not necessarily that you're not self-aware, but maybe you have just bought into the belief of just push through,
Mhm.
ignore what I'm thinking and
How
feeling.
common is that?
you know, yeah, I mean, it's not common at all, right?
Yeah.
But, that's just the way things go. But I love that we talked about that, because to me, it is important. It's not just about the mind, it's the whole body really does. We are, our brain and how it works, and our body and how it works. I mean, it's telling, the vagus nerve, if we want to
Yeah,
go even deeper, and how
exactly.
it connects everything. And so when we start thinking like from that perspective, and we start thinking, okay, well, my brain is thinking a certain thing, but I've just been conditioned to just push through and ignore those thoughts because I've been told that this is a way, that being this way isn't the right way to be. So just ignore it, ignore how I'm feeling, because maybe I'm being selfish, or it's stupid, or just whatever it is that's going through our brain. So we will tend to ignore certain things, but then all of a sudden our body says, okay, well, if you're not going to listen here, I have another way, so I'm going to
Yes.
get your attention over here. So I love that. One of the things I want to ask you is, many high achieving women, especially, I have talked to several. I count myself in there being a high achiever. So sometimes I can get myself stuck in certain loops, but we're incredible at caring for other people, right? I believe for the most part, women are natural nurturers. But I also believe that we're not always great at making space for ourselves. So, what would you say to the woman who feels like there's no room in her life to pause, to breathe, or heal, to really honor herself and take care of her? Especially because, like you said, you have two sons. So I know this is going to really hit home for moms, or even hit home for those who are caregivers to their parents, or maybe even
Yes.
just to the point, even that woman who never had kids. I didn't have kids, I still have family, but even then, it can still feel like, oh, I'm being selfish to take time for me. And especially if you're a woman in business and you're trying to like do everything for everyone else.
That word, that's exactly the first word that comes to mind is selfish.
Mm.
We have been so conditioned to think that we are selfish if we take care of ourselves. Where did we get it at birth? We were told somewhere by someone in the ether that you can never take care of yourself. You are here to take care of it. Where did that come from? Comes from society. It comes from society, and then it gets passed through. And it's so frustrating. I've always been selfish. I'll say it. If you want to call it selfish, I've always been that way, to feel that I do have a right to still be me. And it's been a battle throughout my life. And once I understood and saw it, I could go back and see how it just starts at such a young age. And it can be very overwhelming to in one of the where I have a rule with my clients. You can say anything but the words I can't. Because you absolutely can. You just need to find your way with everything. And that includes self-care. And it's very overwhelming. Everything we're talking about can seem so overwhelming to a woman who has a to-do list. It seems like it never ends. And, they're saying, well, you're telling me that now I have to make time for myself and I have to make time for a bath or a walk or all this. Yes, it can seem very overwhelming, but I'll ask, first of all, where does it say you can't? Where does it really say? Where have you been given a contract that says that you've signed that you cannot take care of yourself? Number two, you're going to wait until you're hit with that, I call a 2x4, and you're sick, because we also have another human ego nature to think nothing's going to happen to me. I've been there, I've felt it, yes, but no, it does. It happens. I call it the 2x4. Don't wait until you've been hit with that and now you're sick. I am also a caregiver for my mom. I understand that route. I have been through stages of my life, seasons of my life, where it seems like it's harder to put time in there for myself. I understand all of that. But my point in saying to someone, in fact, I just had a friend of mine I was out with the other night say something about, oh, I'll do that in a few years when this section of my life is over, season of my life is over, my word. And I'm thinking, we don't need to put things off. We don't need to wait until the children are in school, the children are out of school, graduated. We don't need to wait until the divorce happens, or we don't have to wait until we get married, or we don't have to wait until our parents pass. Stop putting off life. So my point is, after throwing all this out, is day to day. We have stressors day to day that are so frequent, we just take them as it's a natural part of life, and yet we still allow them to stress us out. If we can start just right where you are, Monday through Sunday, Monday for the entire week, what are those little things? What are just the little things, I call them daily pokes, that just get on your nerve and can knock you off balance and just get I get my New York words flowing. And it's a reaction. But these are day-to-day little things that we think, oh my God, you can see how you're having the same reaction over and over again. So what if we just start with those day-to-day things, and we start small with recognizing what your reaction is? How often do they happen, and what's your reaction? How do you feel when it happens? Where are you feeling it in your body? Usually the first thing they'll say is my neck or my back. And we just look at those little things. Why are they getting on your nerves so much? Let's pick one or two. It could be maybe your spouse, your partner, maybe they're leaving the seat up. Maybe they're leaving a mess in the bathroom. Let's just start there. And not about correcting their behavior, not changing their behavior, but looking about how you're physically feeling when you're seeing it. And sometimes just breathe isn't enough. There needs to be an awareness of, okay, I'm feeling my neck, which means your nervous system you're going into that fight or flight. Those are the two most common states. Sometimes there's freeze, flop, and fawn are the deeper issue go-to states. But fight or flight is the most common. Getting a sense of recognition of when that's coming up. It might be I'm grabbing a crystal, you've chosen touch works for you. What can you touch that can bring you back to the reality of the moment? Not the mess on the bathroom sink, not the guy that just cut you off in traffic, not the waiting in line at the bank or the market, but just bring your awareness back to what is reality. Because what's happened is now your brain has gone into the habitual thinking and fear of that situation you're looking at is now out of control. And that for some reason you think you have control over it. Does this make sense? So just by taking those day-to-day little things, just starting small, and it's starting right where you are. It's not about taking an hour out of your day. It's not about taking a half hour out of your day or half your day to do something that means you've got to solve all this cycle-breaking conditioning and societal rules right now. You're just starting tiny and small. So you begin to gain a sense of control, not of that toothpaste or whatever it is on the bathroom sink, but within yourself so that you can feel better. Then you have clarity, calm, ease. Then maybe the conversation can happen about, hey, is there a way we can work together on this and solve this? Or is the way that I can begin to say, okay, like this is me. Oh my God, if I ever in my life can solve all my stress driving, I'll be very happy, but this is my thing to work on. I've created much ease in so many areas of my life, but this one, and this is what I work on. So I have my sense of touch. I see that moment of reaction, and I can choose. Am I going to spout off, or am I just going to go, okay, everybody's safe? It's a process. So it's starting small with just day-to-day things, and it's grounding, it's breath, it's your senses, it's something else that works for you. We go through a whole list of options and trying things that you can pick right where you are, easy accessible without feeling you have to add anything into your day. And for an example, my friend has a couple of horses, and that's why it takes a lot from her time. It's a love of hers, but it's a very stressful area. Let's face it, horses are expensive. And because of the thought process of I don't have time, we're going to work with right where she is, whether it's mucking the stall, whether it's feeding the horse, whether it's grooming the horse, whether it's standing there with the vet, with the horse. You can create a moment right then and there to help bring yourself back to a state of calm, clarity, ease, and freedom.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to actually just follow up that with a question like, why do you believe with reconnecting with the body, it's such an essential part of healing and aging, and especially aging well? And so, what changes when a woman feels safe in her own skin again?
Ah, I always look for a word that just really encompasses it all, but that would be safe, feeling safe in the freedom. Feeling safe is so important, and I've had some different people say, "Oh, well, feeling safe, what does that really mean?" And I get that reaction because we don't wanna feel that we are unsafe, but that's if I had to pick one response to you, freedom is always definitely because we have the freedom now to live and walk our own path without having to justify and be defensive. But feeling safe being yourself, I think is the most important part of this journey, is doing all of the work, whether it's day-to-day points, you begin to feel safe being who you are, which we've always had the right to be who we are. It's just buried. It's like an onion, where the center of that onion and as you're taking the layers off and shedding those layers and getting to your real self, who you've always meant to be. You're not the same person you were yesterday or last month or last year. It's that continued growth and expansion and wonder and creativity and curiosity of life. And having that ability to feel safe to just explore all of that without having to justify and explain and defend, without feeling guilty that you're not living and doing based on someone else's expectations. And I always say those people that are expecting you to behave a certain way, that's their own conditioning. And that's a beautiful thing with this work. You're able to have compassion and understanding and forgiveness for however you've been hurt or affected by other people because they're walking their own path. They're carrying their own baggage. They're carrying their own stuff that's accelerating their aging process, that's affecting every area of their life, that it's health, it's relationships, it affects your work, it affects your children. And I think we put so much focus on and I've done it, been there, done that. You buy all the stuff that says anti-aging and, if you're a woman over 40 or 50 or 60, don't do this. BS. BS. We have the right, whether you believe God, source, whatever, the right to be who we were gifted to be in this life, who we were blessed to be in this beautiful gift of life. So if I had to pick one, it's feeling safe being who you are. That is the most important because it will automatically help the aging well because you can do it on your terms. What's right for you, not 20 people in the room with you. What's right for you. It's having that more life, less stress and more life. Break the cycle of old. Be whomever, if it's whatever it is, whether it's something simple like taking that bubble bath or whether it's flying to Europe or whether it's, I don't know, there's so many options. A friend of mine, we were talking about the life list, a bucket list, life list. There's so many things in this world to explore and experience. But we have to feel safe being who we are. And that doesn't mean never being afraid. It means having a new relationship with those fears, working together with your fear, but not having guilt being who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, final question. We've talked previously before today, and I've told you this is for the series Unapologetic and Unstoppable Women Redefining Success. It's about redefining success and living life to the fullest. So, from your perspective, what does it mean to live fully in midlife and beyond? And what would you say to the woman who might be afraid that it's actually too late to start over, to choose a different path and actually live a life they love?
It's funny you say it because it's been coming up a lot lately, the word starting over, starting over, starting over. And I'm saying, really? Is it starting over or is it the
Mhm.
continuation?
Love that.
I like it more as a continuation. And midlife, let me tell you, part of my journey that has really been quite the I use the word maybe terror in my life was
Mhm.
perimenopause. We don't talk enough out loud about perimenopause. It focuses on menopause, and we do need. I've gotten that conversation going about perimenopause, but midlife, I think, is the universe's beautiful way. It's our soul's beautiful way of saying, "Okay, you've done enough messing around. This is your time to really blossom. This is to show you how beautiful change can be." And it comes with a lot of things. Midlife comes with the change physically. Midlife can come with change of how the dynamics of your life looks. My dynamic changed with divorce. My dynamic changed with sending not one, but two, because I had twins off to college at the exact same time, empty nest. I moved my mom in with me years back, and that changes the dynamic of my life. But I look at it, and believe me, these weren't I had to navigate and learn about myself through these. And when I was in perimenopause, I didn't know what I know now. So it was a different time and difficult time. But since I've learned, now I definitely see it as it's just been a continuation of doors closing, of doors opening, and opportunities of life just showing itself and saying, "Here I am. It's yours. What do you want from it?" How much do you want to thrive in it? How much do you want to experience? And it might sound kooky to some, but it really is. I mean, look at the world and look at everything that we have the opportunity to experience. And you may not want to venture out huge. I don't want to be traveling the world, but I do want to explore and see what I can gather in my world, what I can give back in my world. How can I support? And midlife can be a time that I think let's face it, when you hear the word old, where does your mind automatically think and picture?
Mhm.
Oh, it's infuriating.
Mhm.
And it's not. This time of life is like everything life has been trying to teach us and show us. We now have the opportunity to really put it in its proper place and use it properly and experience it properly. And I think it's a beautiful thing. So, no, I don't think it's about too late. I think it's a continuation, and I don't care if you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years old. Continue to be curious, be courageous, be creative, and just embrace the possibilities, whether it's the smallest of experience or the biggest of experience. Just appreciate it all, and I truly believe that gratitude is definitely happiness. People say, well, people look for happiness, we look for it outside of ourselves. It's an inside job. You've heard that saying. It's happiness is a choice, it's within, and gratitude is huge.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me today, sharing about your journey, your work, the wisdom that we have now gained through what you do. And, I love the idea of continuing and not necessarily starting over because I do feel like it's really a continuation of life. It's
Mhm.
now a change and change is always scary, but it can also bring so much amazing opportunities and new experiences. So I love how you spoke about releasing old patterns, reconnecting with the body because the body, there's that book, The Body Keeps a Score, and I truly believe that.
Yes.
And redefining what it means to thrive. No matter what age you are, it's so encouraging, so empowering, especially for women who are ready to let go of pressure and start living their life with more presence in what is around them currently and more joy. So Kathleen, thank you so much for being here with me today and sharing so generously.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure, and it was an honor to be here, and just everyone go out and just love your life, love yourself, and peace and blessings.
Thank you. And to our listeners, if you'd like to connect with Kathleen and learn more about her work, you can find her contact information in the show notes. Remember, aging isn't about holding on to the past. It's about stepping into who you truly are and living in a way that supports your body, your energy, and your vision for the life that you truly want to live. I believe that our past holds important clues and that it's okay to look back, not to stay there, but to use even the hardest moments to help guide us in our present situations and moving us forward. Remember, your past doesn't define who you are. It's just a part of your story. And when you're willing to honor it, it can fuel your next level of growth. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep designing your extraordinary life one day at a time. Thank you for joining me on Her Extraordinary Life by Design. I hope you've been inspired and empowered by the incredible stories shared on this show. If you enjoyed this episode and the conversations we've had, I would greatly appreciate if you could take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback and support mean the world to me, and it will help others discover the podcast and join our empowering community. Remember to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Together, we can continue to learn from these amazing women, uncover their extraordinary journeys, and be motivated to create our own lives by design. Thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, stay empowered and keep shaping your extraordinary life one day at a time.
Ever thought about starting your own podcast?
Do you have a business or a message you want to share with the world?
Well, now it's easier than ever with Electricast. Hi, I'm Mark Netter.
And I'm Peter Rafelson. We're the founders of Electricast Media.
Whether you want to start a new podcast or already have one, join Electricast to grow your audience, monetize your content, and build your community.
With our simple sign-up, you get free promotion, world-class analytics, premium ads, and personal support.
Go to electricast.com and join our community today.
Electricast. Transform your influence.
Electricast. Hey guys, it's your girl Yasia. I want to share some really exciting news with you. I just dropped my first ever single, Spell on You, off my upcoming debut EP, Devil's Room, on RM Records. It's simply devilicious. Check out Spell on You wherever you listen to music. Bye for now.
I never thought I'd fall in love like this. It's time to close the chapter, but I think I needed this.
Electricast.